But I want to start with something you said, which I think is frankly disgusting and is more appropriate for a Democratic propagandist. Violence.
Senator, this happened after you and President Trump were on the debate stage, said that cats and dogs were being eaten.
You just accused me of inciting violence against the community when all that I've done is surface the complaints of my constituents.
He just said Haitians are eating dogs and cats.
If I have to,
but it wasn't just a meme,
create stories so that the American media actually pays attention to the suffering of the American people, then that's what I'm going to do, Dana.
Well, there you have vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance confessing to creating stories during a very contentious interview with Dana Bash on CNN over the weekend. Now, the topic of Haitian migrants obviously came up in the context of this interview, given that J.D. Vance and Donald Trump have been spreading unfounded claims about Haitian migrants in the community of Springfield, Ohio, alleging that they're stealing people's pets and eating them. Now, let's listen to more of the exchange and then we'll decode some of it for you.
The American media totally ignored this stuff until Donald Trump and I started talking about cat memes. If I have to, create stories so that the American media actually pays attention to the suffering of the American people, then that's what I'm going to do, Dana, because you guys are completely letting Kamala Harris coast.
Has he considered that maybe when you are the person spreading unfounded, vicious claims about people, it leads everyone to believe that you are not a credible source, and anything that you might say that has merit, including some concerns about the lack of resources in Springfield, Ohio, when you bring up those issues, people are going to deny it. They're not going to believe anything you have to say because you're intentionally creating nonsense stories about innocent people eating other individuals' cats and dogs. I mean, like, how do you not realize this? In fact, it makes my job harder because every once in a while, when they do have a legitimate point to make, and I want to say, hey, look, I dug into this. They actually have a legitimate point here. People get mad at me because they're like, how could you believe anything that J.D. Vance is saying? How could you take anything that Donald Trump has to say seriously? They're liars. Look at what they said about Haitian migrants. And you know what? I don't blame them for feeling that way. You lose credibility when you spread garbage like that and you make it harder to find solutions to problems in the country. I'm so done with this garbage, man. I'm so sick of where we are in our politics right now.
Hey, don't scroll away. Come back. Because before the video continues, we just want to urge you to lend your support to TYT. You power our honest reporting. You do it at tyt.com/team, and we love you for it. Well, I'll go in both of those directions. So first, Jonathan Larson used to be our managing editor here. He's got a great newsletter on Substack and does articles there. You should check him out. And he had a really good article today about what the actual problem in Springfield, Ohio is. And 15,000 to 20,000 new Haitians have been brought in. The question is who brought them? And so while these guys were talking about eating cats and dogs, Jonathan actually looked into who actually brought them. And it turns out it's employers, perhaps Dole, the fruit company that has a very checkered past. They're part of the reason why we call some of the Latin American countries banana republics, because they helped organize. Those are long gone. That's ancient history. But apparently, they're still bringing these folks in, and maybe for legitimate reasons, maybe for illegitimate reasons, etc. But my point there is, as Jonathan points out, yes, it does create issues because then there's less housing. And some of the prices are driven up, but wages are also driven up. So it's an interesting conversation that we should have.
Right.
Why just Springfield, Ohio? Why a town of 60,000 people? Who actually led that? Did they do something right or wrong? Should we fix it or not fix it? Those are good questions to have. But when you get the carnival barkers like J.D. Vance and Donald Trump that come out there and go, they're eating cats and dogs, these immigrants. And Trump also, Vance in this case, also said that they were bringing in disease. So when you start calling immigrants disease and saying they're doing these inhuman things, yes, that is what is propaganda, and oftentimes fascist propaganda. And so if you don't want us to call you fascist, don't do obvious, glaring, over the top fascist propaganda, and one that you know is false. That's why you said, if I have to create stories.
Right, and by the way, okay, just look, Haitian migrants who came specifically to Springfield, Ohio, are not illegal immigrants. They're not, okay? They have temporary protected status. They have the correct visas in order to work, so it's different from other people who are here. They're not documented, and they do get exploited by employers who want to pay them under the table and pay them far less than minimum wage. That is a real issue here in this country, which is why for the longest time you have both parties hooting and hollering about immigration, but doing nothing about it because their donors pay them to ensure they do nothing about it. The donors love the cheap labor. But in the case of Haitian migrants, that is different because they come here legally, they have protected status, and they're not living in the shadows as other undocumented immigrants do, and as a result get exploited by employers. So I just wanted to make that clear. Now let's get back to the conversation at hand. Dana Bash literally repeats exactly what Vance said back to him, and he tries to walk it back. Let's watch.
You just said that you're creating a story.
Public policy.
Sir, you just said that you're creating the story.
What's that, Dana?
You just said that this is a story that you created. So the eating dogs and cats thing is not accurate. Dana, it comes from firsthand accounts from my constituents. I say that we're creating a story, meaning we're creating the American media focusing on it. I didn't create 20,000 illegal migrants coming into Springfield thanks to Kamala Harris's policies. Her policies did that, but yes, we created the actual focus that allowed the American media to talk about this story and the suffering caused by Kamala Harris's policies.
So just to be clear, literally anyone can email or hit up JD Vance and say, I'm a constituent of yours. I'm now gonna make a crazy claim about anything. And he's just gonna buy it, take it at face value, and then repeat it on the campaign trail. Is that what he just confessed to?
Yeah, not only that, look, did you get all the sophistry there? So I didn't create 20,000 illegal immigrants. First of all, they're not illegal. Second of all, nobody said you created the immigrants. We said you created, in fact, we didn't even say it. You just said it, that you created the fake cat and dog story and the eating part of it so that you could, as he put it there at the end, we created the focus so that people could focus on that. And did you do it to fix immigration? Do you have a policy on Haitians, which is different than people crossing the border illegally since they're coming here illegally? I don't even know if you have a policy. You're not doing it for policy. You're doing it to demagogue and go, dirty immigrants, they're not like us. They eat our cats, they're diseased. Hate them, and vote for us. That's who you are. You're a sick, sick person. You're a careerist who wants to rise up no matter what. You thought Trump was Hitler before, and now all of a sudden you're talking about how people are eating cats and dogs to make that tyrant happy. And so he's just a disgusting liar. And if you cared about policy, as we just explained, you couldn't do more damage to your own cause because now no one believes that there's an actual problem because you guys invented outrageous lies about it. So look, I talk to people in California all the time who are sick of the crime, and it's gone down now, but there's still significant crime. But they say, well, what can I do? There's nothing I could do because if I go to vote for a Republican, they're lunatic liars. They're constantly lying about everything, and I don't know what to trust and what not to trust. I don't know whether I have to trust the crime numbers. I don't know what to do about it because my alternatives are the Democrats in California that have created this issue with the crime, homelessness, etc. But the only alternative is a bunch of crazed lunatics. So Republicans, you have no idea how much you're damaging your own party by having these outrageous liars lead it.
So following the interview, JD Vance wanted to, I guess, do a little bit of damage control and also simultaneously made himself to be a victim here. He said in regard to those who are quoting him, literally quoting him, he says that they're actually smearing him. A dishonest smear. I didn't invent constituents complaining about this. We did help create the media focus on their complaints. So let me also just be clear. Would it be responsible for me? Let's say I get a tip. One of our viewers sends me an email, and in that email, they're claiming all sorts of outrageous things. Do I then just regurgitate what the email says on the show? That would be irresponsible, wouldn't it, Cenk? It would be. You'd wanna look into the claims before you go off and smear an entire group of people who are, again, here legally and are just trying to live their lives in Springfield, Ohio. And if there are legitimate concerns about the lack of resources in Springfield, Ohio, which I do think there's merit to, then solve that issue with actual proposals to solve that issue. Don't go around smearing innocent people.
So that tweet, Anna, has two giant problems with it. Number one, he admits what he does in the tweet. He said, we created the focus on people who were constituents complaining to us. Number one, did you even verify their constituents? Number two, did you verify they're from Springfield, Ohio? Number three, to Anna's point, do you report every nut job that comes in and says, oh, I think that, what if they said, I think Donald Trump is an alien? Would you create a focus around that story and go, oh, I had a constituent tell me that Donald Trump's an alien. I had to talk about it. What if he's a lizard person who's going to eat people? Oh, a constituent complained about it. Okay, no, in other words, you invented the story. You created the story, just like you said in the original interview. But then in the top of the tweet, he says it was a dishonest smear because this is now right-wing 101. Say something outrageous and then deny it and say, oh, fake news, fake news, fake news. And then say, yeah, I meant it. But also fake news. Yeah. Okay, we get it. If you don't get at this point that JD Vance doesn't care about the truth at all, and he'll smear and attack anyone and make up anything outrageous for his own political gain, you just aren't paying attention.
We should also hear from the Republican governor of Ohio, who is not pleased with the narratives that are running around all over the place, online, on television, in regard to what's happening in Springfield. Let's take a look.
And here's a question I never thought I would have to ask, but do you see any evidence as governor of the state that Haitian immigrants are eating pets?
No. Absolutely not. That's what the mayor said. That's what the chief of police has said. I think it's unfortunate that this came up. Look, there's a lot of garbage on the internet. And, this is a piece of garbage that was simply not true. There's no evidence of this at all.
So for the people living in Springfield, Ohio, who feel like they've been neglected by the mainstream media or by politicians as they've been trying to figure out ways to handle the influx of Haitian migrants coming into their community, I apologize to you because literally no one is talking about solutions to those issues. Now, the state government provided some additional resources for Springfield, but if you think that this is going to, help with the federal government providing assistance, that's not where we're going here. The conversation started and unfortunately is gonna stop at this disgusting smear against migrants that's completely unfounded. Now, go ahead, Cenk.
Yeah, local Republicans in Ohio are now incensed, as we just showed you, the governor, the mayor, they're all Republicans. And they're like, I can't believe they're making up this outrageous lie. Local Republicans in Georgia, Arizona, and other states after 22 were like, whoa, I can't believe they're making out these outrageous lies. I know there's nothing wrong with the ballots. I know that there was no wide-scale voter fraud. And I know that they're just trying to get us to switch votes that were Democrat into Republican. That is outrageous. But somehow they can't tell that that's what they do every time. That's what Trump does every time. It's the thing with conservatives is if it affects them, they're like, whoa, now I see it. Now I care, right? But if it happens to other people, what did you think Trump was doing in all the other cases? He's been lying the whole time about all of it. The election fraud, this eating cats and dogs, the Obama not being born in the country. He believes everything to the conspiracy theory. He spreads every one of them. It's just that when it affects Governor DeWine or Governor Kemp in Georgia, they're like, oh, this one is definitely a lie. They're all lies, and you help them by supporting them in every other instance.
So I want to end with one final component to the story, and it has to do with a moment in this interview with Dana Bash where JD Vance was aggrieved, like very upset and disgusted that Dana Bash would try to connect the rumors, the vicious rumors that JD Vance has been spreading to some of the increased violence in Springfield, Ohio, and the threats that have been put out against people in Springfield, Ohio. So last week, for instance, City Hall and some schools were evacuated due to bomb threats. Now, one local college is holding classes online for the entire week because of the threats that were being put out there over the weekend. And the FBI is also investigating bomb and shooting threats sent to Wittenberg University, which is another college in Springfield, Ohio. They canceled all activities and are holding class remotely today. Now, the university told students that on Saturday, September 14th, the university received an email threatening a campus shooting on Sunday, September 15th. A second email containing a bomb threat arrived midday. Both messages targeted members of our local Haitian community. But even though the threats are clearly connected to the type of rumors that JD Vance has been spreading, he's absolutely furious that Dana Bash would make that connection. Let's take a look.
You're the senator from Ohio, so instead of saying things that are wrong and actually causing the hospitals, the schools, the government buildings to be evacuated because of bomb threats, because of the cats and dogs thing, why not actually be constructive in helping to better integrate them into the community? Because there are a lot of employers there who say that the Haitian workers are helping fill jobs that they need desperately filled.
Dana, first of all, let me just respond to a couple of things that you said, but I want to start with something you said, which I think is frankly disgusting and is more appropriate for a Democratic propagandist than it is for an American journalist. There is nothing that I have said that has led to threats against these hospitals. These hospitals, the bomb threats and so forth, it's disgusting. You just accused me of inciting violence against the community when all that I've done is surface the complaints of my constituents, people who are suffering because of Kamala Harris's policies.
So he does not want to be held responsible at all for the insane threats that are now being lodged against people in the community of Springfield, Ohio. It's just interesting to hear him say that, especially as we're hearing from Donald Trump following the second assassination attempt against him. He is blaming Kamala Harris and Joe Biden and their rhetoric for inspiring violence against Donald Trump. Okay, so if we're worried about rhetoric, how about you guys like take the temperature down as well? I mean, if you're gonna make that connection with Trump and the assassination attempt, is it far-fetched to make the connection to the vicious rumors that JD Vance has been spreading and the threats that are now being put out against Springfield, Ohio?
Yeah, so he says, oh my God, it's outrageous that you would say these bomb threats are connected to what I said. Why? Were there a lot of bomb threats going on in Springfield, Ohio before you guys brought up this insane conspiracy theory about how the Haitians are eating pets? And no, there weren't. And then after you got people riled up, and look guys, you go online, because right now we're in the rational based world. If you're listening to this, we're showing you quotes, we're showing you evidence, etc. You go online, somebody saw one video. It doesn't matter if the person was Haitian. It doesn't matter if it's a cat. Nothing matters. They're like, that's it. It'll be like a white guy eating a chicken sandwich. And they'll be like, you see the Haitian killing the cat and eating it. We say it, right? You're never gonna be able to unconvince them. And that's the hatred that then drives somebody to call in a bomb threat to a school, to a hospital. And how does that only affect Haitians? And I don't want it to only affect Haitians. Look at all this hatred that JD Vance is driving. And he admitted right there that he created the story. And then when you say, well, now people are doing bomb threats because of your dumbass story. He's like, oh, I am outraged. Just because I riled people up to hate one another and to maybe do violence against one another, when one of them threatens to do violence, I will pretend to be shocked. Nah, these guys are the worst. They give the American people no choice but to vote for the other side because they're so unhinged. They don't care about the truth at all. They think it's a punchline. Ha ha, I'll just get people to hate each other. And then they won't notice that I'm a venture capitalist and the other guy's a billionaire and our only policy is to cut corporate taxes. That way, but if you guys all hate each other, you won't look up where the real problem is, and where all JD Vance's true friends like Peter Thiel and all of his Wall Street buddies are. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.